Well, hey everybody, Wes Mcdonald here, and I want to thank you for tuning in to another episode of TigerTube. And for those of you that can't see us, you're probably listening to us in Tigerpaw Radio, so thank you very much for joining us today. Today, I am very excited to be speaking with three other industry people that do something similar to what I do, which is volunteering in industry organizations and peer groups. And today's episode, Power of Peers, to talk about why we do this, what the value of belonging to these various organizations is, and why you might want to think about doing it too. So before I go any further, I just want to make sure that I introduce our guests. And Tim, maybe I'll get you to start.
Well, I'm Tim Renegar with Kelly Office Solutions. We are a traditional copy print dealer, as well as managed services, document management solutions, managed print services solutions. So we're a full service dealership. I'm a member of the BTA, have been for quite a few years. I can't even remember how many years. And I'm currently the national president of the BTA, and also a member of the American Co-op group, and very pleased to be a part of that best practices group.
Well, that's great, Tim. And I appreciate the work that you do for the BTA and also for joining us today. And Debra, maybe I'll get you to introduce yourself next.
All right, I'm Debra Dennis, and I am the Vice President of Support Services for CopyPro in Greenville, North Carolina. And like Tim, I'm in North Carolina, and I covered another third of the North Carolina state. I am a BTA member and an Mpsa member. I am the acting president of the Southeast Board for the BTA, and look forward to seeing you next week, Wes, at our event. But again, we are Ricoh, Savin, Konica Minolta dealer. So in the imaging channel, but also with document management. Glad to be here.
Well, that's great. And thank you very much for all that you do, both for the BTA and the Mpsa, and for joining us today. And maybe my friend Joe, you can introduce yourself for our audience.
Yeah, good morning, Wes and everybody. My name is Joe Barganier. I am past president of the Mpsa, the second president of the organization. I was also on the board of directors representing dealers when we first started the Mpsa. I've just recently gotten back involved now as the vice president working for West, help things out. I've always been involved in a lot of different industry associations and organizations, best practices, workshops, ever since I got into business. I'm just a big believer in best practices and learning from others and trying not to reinvent the wheel. I appreciate being here. Good seeing you guys.
I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate the work that you are doing with me for the Mpsa this year as well. And I don't usually introduce myself that much because I'm typically just the host, but today I'm actually the president of the Managed Print Services Association as well. So for what that's worth, I'll be able to add some some color and hopefully some information about why I think it's so important as well. All right, let's get right into this. So first of all, and Debra, maybe I'll get you to start this one. Why do you volunteer and lead, right? Not everybody does this. It seems like that none of us have enough hours in the day to begin with. Why do you dedicate your time to volunteering and leading?
Well, really the main thing is because it puts me with people that are like-minded and that have some of the same issues that I have. And, I would like to say, I know it all, but I don't. And I find that out. But what I'm able to do by going to the events, even getting online and talking to people like yourself, it really broadens my scope of people that I know when I get my back up against the wall and I need to bounce an idea off somebody, there's somebody that has already done this or can give me some advice. And really, it's about having that network of people that truly I call friends. They are my friends. And I can pick up the phone and call and get an answer. It may not be the answer that I wanted to hear, but it's a truthful answer. So really, it's just, I'll tell you, I get more back than the hours I might spend in my volunteer. I get it back 3-4 times. So that's really why I do it. It's just for the knowledge and the group of people that I can bounce ideas off of.
I love it. And I really like what you say about the friendships that are formed as well through these associations. And I know that even for competitors on the Mpsa executive committee, for example, on our board, we have many competitors that work together for the benefit of the industry and have formed really strong friendships, right? Far and above beyond what we're all doing. And Tim, maybe I'll get you to take that, question next. Why do you volunteer and lead, as busy as you are at Kelly?
Well, it was a surprise to me that I got as involved as I did. You know, you get involved in these operations, and I started just as a board member in the Southeast for the BTA. And I've always believed in, you know, getting to know as many people as you possibly can. The whole purpose of our lives is we're like a bank account. You know, your life is like a bank account. The more you put into it, the more you're going to get back in the end. And what I believe is if you can meet and enjoy and understand lots and lots of people, there's lots of ideas that come to you. And a lot of times I'll tell you, some of my people are like, oh Lord, he's been to another event. Here he comes. There's be all sorts of ideas coming out of him we got to listen to, because I've been in this business 40 plus years, and there's never an event that I go to that I don't learn something new or different or exciting. And it's the networking piece of it. And they don't become just friends. They become advisors. They become somebody that just bounce things off of. They become, you know, more than what you can possibly imagine. Debra has helped me out of more stuff in Eastern North Carolina than I can imagine. And I hope I've been able to do some of the same things for her. So, and that's just, and Debra, she's phenomenal because she's so close to me, but there's so many others in this industry that bring so much to the table. And so, you know what, it becomes a rich feeling to get back to a community. And even your competitors that you thought they hated you and you hated them, once you get to have a drink or two with them, or you sit down and have a dinner with them, you find out, hey, we could actually work together on this thing over here. And sometimes we have. So these things are invaluable. It is, and the knowledge that you gain, the associations that you make, and the depth and the web of people that becomes part of you is extraordinary. And if you're not taking part of it, you're missing a huge part.
Well, I thank you for that. And I really like what you say about how much really it energizes you to come back with new ideas, because I do find the same thing as well. And Joe, how about yourself? One of the first presidents of the Managed Print Service Association, and now vice president. What gets you involved? Why do you do this?
I do it because I have to. I don't have a hobby to really speak of. I'm pretty passionate about whatever I put my mind behind. So my work, which to me is solving problems and work with other individuals, right? So I'm always looking for the best practices. I'm always looking to check my knowledge and to learn things and interact with other people. And yeah, a lot of my friends in life over the last 30 years come from the industry of the work. I think as Tom Hopkins said, it's okay to be passionate about your job and not be passionate about golf and have a part-time job in sales. I felt better about that because the Tom Hopkins guy did pretty good. So I just love interacting with people as I get to know them. I've been in positions where I've been a subject matter expert and been able to go out and present new ideas and information to the dealerships. I did the entire Ricoh family group, 1,000 dealerships over the time as the printer guy. So you get to throw some things out there and then you get some things back. And the Mpsa was the first wave of that, where I wanted to have a peer group. I've always seek out peer groups, whatever I'm doing, to get feedback, whether that's a church men's ministry, the Key Club in high school. I'm just a community service kind of guy, I guess, right? I was just taught that. So when you get into business, my father did it in his industry. He was leader of the marine industry, whatever association. So he would go out and talk to others, and they'd bring in, just like BTA or all the hundreds of different organizations you get into. It's just part of my need to interact with others and get feedback and offer assistance. And it's like the others have said so eloquently, you get more back out of it. If it's in your heart to do, you engage with other people to expand your knowledge and references and feedback, and it just makes you a more richer person. I think it's why we're on the planet, right?
I completely agree. And it's probably a good segue into why I love to do this as well, right? And it is those smaller groups, it is those peer connections we've all talked about. And I get so much back from this role. I mean, I have never done anything in my life that has fed me more in a few ways. One is motivation, right? So when I'm working with other like-minded people to help sort of raise the industry and to come up with ways to benefit us at all, it really does give me more energy, because I know that there are other people out there, other people like me, that want to do the same thing. The second thing I'll say is that it's a very easy way for me in this role to align myself with the kind of company that I want to keep to excel. And, we are the company we keep, as they say, right? And in these peer groups, that's one thing I've always loved, is that everyone that we're working with in these peer groups are here for the same reason that we are, that they are looking to better their business. They're looking to better the industry as a whole, and they're looking to work with other people, to that end, right? The next question I want to move into, and we kind of talked a little bit about it, but maybe we'll get into a little deeper, right? But what benefits do both the BTA and the Mpsa and these other organizations bring to you and peer members professionally? And maybe I'll start, this one. And I know that for me professionally, I've been involved with the Mpsa. This is my second term as president. I've been a long time BTA member and Mpsa member, as well as doing stuff with CompTIA. That the number of business opportunities that have come to me from that work, from actually working with people that I had no idea would even come to me, have been astonishing, right? So professionally for me, even just by doing the right thing, by trying to do the work, that the amount of business, the amount of opportunity that's actually come my way as well, right? So I don't know if you guys experience that as well, but for me personally, it's an incredible way, for people that are working with us on our boards and our executive committees and everything else, to spark those things where we might be able to do something really exciting together from a professional perspective as well, outside of what we're doing within the association, right?
Well, speaking personally, I'll have to parrot what Debra has already said. I get far more back than I could ever give to any organization. And it goes back again to the people and the connections that we always make when we become part of this organization. Different mindsets, the different thinking. There's a million different ways to approach a problem or an issue. And when you're a part of an association, you hear several different ideas on what they're doing and how they're going about it. And it's not distilled to an area that you're familiar with. For example, it's easy to talk to people in the Southeast because I'm around them all the time. But when you get a broader perspective, a national perspective, you get a perspective that you just don't have when you stay holed up in your dealership. So you need to, by getting involved with the BTA or any peer group that's in our industry, it will allow you to hear and feel and understand this industry from perspectives you'll never get anywhere else. And that's what I get back. And that's what I think our members get back, is things that take them to a different level, because they understand and hear of that different level now, and they would never have been associated with it. You only know what you know if you just stay in your own place.
Yeah.
When you go out there, all they know now becomes part of what you know. And that is huge. And there is no way to describe that the capital that goes along with that. It has improved my business dramatically.
One of the other things that you touch on is when you're in your own organization, whatever that is, right? Whether it's a small company, big company, whatever the role you play personally in an organization, there's limitations to how much you can learn in that organization, right? Like, because it's regional, because your day job, because you're not on a career path to be the president. But most humans want to learn and develop and grow, right? Because if you're not growing, you're dying. Nobody likes to be static in a mushroom under a log, right? So I think the organizations, these associations and peer groups, allow organizations to have their people get involved with the larger groups that allows them to learn and grow and develop, doesn't conflict with the day job, right? Because maybe they're learning things they can't learn at the day job, but we don't have time to, stretch out inside the organization because we're only 100 employees or 30 employees, or some 5 employee companies. But I can have one of my people go out and get involved in this association, spend as much time as they'd like after hours, and maybe it's only a couple hours during work time during a month, but they're growing beyond our organization. They're bringing back at 11 different levels growth to share that I can't afford to do internally. I mean, it comes full circle. The people you meet through your career, if you're good at networking and you care, you're going to come back and be with those people later. Right? We've got Russell Kerminga is on the board now because I worked with Russ in 2008. We started the same place, same time. He was from Iowa, I'm from wherever. We had similar ideas. And here we are since 2008, whatever many years is now. He's now on the board because I was like, this guy would be a good contributor to the Mpsa, and it would help him continue in his professional development. So now Russ is on the board. We do this all day, right? Who's going to volunteer to do that, right? Volunteerism is like a less than 5% of the population. So when you get an organization, somebody's got to volunteer to run the organization, to encourage the others to participate. And that's just, that group of people is a small group in the world.
And one of the neat things that you touched on there, Joe, was this idea that once the organization is involved with the BTA or the MPSA, that nothing stops them from getting all kinds of their people involved, right? And that's one thing that I love. People ask, well, how many of our people, at the MPSA, when they first sign up, how many logins do I get? And our answer is, well, how many do you need, right? Like, how many of your people do you want on there? And these young people, especially in the industry, what a great way for them to learn and to be able to get this kind of information and knowledge off literally the shoulders of giants in this space, as you were just talking about, Joe, right?
Well, it really is about growth. I mean, just about your professional growth in this business. There's always something you can find, online, in a magazine, going through, podcasts that really will help you grow, personally and professionally. And I think, like right now, as we're sitting here talking about it, I think about when I joined initially, it was, you get the magazine out, and then if you go to the events, then you meet people there. But now with really, through COVID, the positive thing about COVID, we have all gotten very comfortable with this type of arena, sitting down, getting on, webinars, talking with each other virtually. It really is a broader scope than it ever has been. And which is really nice, because you're not picking up the phone. You're actually seeing people, the whites of their eyes, and talking to them. And you feel like you really get to know people on that personal level. One of the things the BTA did, through COVID, which is a big help, they started a Dealers Helping Dealers. And it really is a group that meets once a month, and you're not on a webinar with like people you compete with. So you're able to talk freely. And the people that I have met across the country that I might not would have met at my regional, seminars that I go to, it really has just opened up a broader spectrum. I joined a podcast that you guys, a little social thing that Mpsa had last year at like 4:00. I was feeling down in the dumps. COVID was kicking our butt. And I saw, I think it was Sarah Henderson that actually, she was having a little social hour. I just bopped on, had the greatest time, and really met a lot of people on that, and really brightened my day. Because again, these are the people, I think, Joe, you mentioned it. This is my addiction. I mean, I love this business. I love hearing about it. I don't watch TV. I get on LinkedIn, I watch podcasts, I read books, because really it helps me grow as a person. And if I didn't have these peer groups, I'd be at home watching Housewives of whatever county, This is just better. It helps me, helps my family, helps this business. So I appreciate every one of you, because you're right. We get to hang around the giants of this industry. How cool is that?
Yeah.
Like, absolutely cool. And I love what you say there too about, this idea, that social hour. I was on that as well, right? And
Yep.
there for no other reason really than just to bring people together and, to celebrate, right? We've all been stuck through this, nonsense of the pandemic. And even to have that moment virtually, we've really found these ways to be able to do that, right? Hey, listen, the pandemic, it was kind of funny. We just talked about that. It really did throw everybody a wrench, right? I mean, there's not an organization, not just in our channel, but any industry that has not been, impacted in some way, right? So how did your peer organization help members, and even those that weren't members, to weather that storm?
The BTA really stepped up, and I'll quote one of the manufacturers' representatives, Mike Marusik, with Sharp. He said, if through COVID, dealers don't understand the value of BTA, they don't get it. He said, because they were invaluable through this. The resources that were brought to bear from legal, with Bob Goldberg doing his webinars, helping dealers negotiate through the PPP loans, and now it's the employee retention credits, and it's a whole variety of things and what's necessary to do, and then bringing in other associations via our managed network services. We had the TAG group come in and actually had a small business administrator that's part of their team that was talking to us about how to get through this. The Dealer Helping Dealer has been dramatic. And I'm going to give all that credit to Brent Hoskins. He came up with this idea. We were going through a year of when we were not going to get to really be with one another, but he determined that, well, there is a way. We can do a Zoom call with non-competing dealers and talk about what's going on. All right, how are you handling the pandemic now? What are your What are the steps you've taken? Are you laying people off? Are you hiring? What are you doing? You know, and these all of that information was coming to us in a non-competitive way because we didn't have to worry about it. Or it was very, very well done. And these dealers have now hung on to that. And it is a key part of every 2 weeks of what we do. They cannot wait to get on that meeting. There's plenty of good questions already pre-assigned. So we're now a community that is really giving back. And I think Brent is looking at the potential of reshuffling that so that we can have other perspectives. Now everybody's gotten very comfortable with each other in their dealer helping dealer group. You look forward to seeing each other and you're keeping up with each other, but this is the BTA alone under that scenario was phenomenal.
Yeah, completely agree. And, you know, that's one of the things through the pandemic when we had been working on sort of COVID-19 resources and PPP. I actually worked with Brent at that time and said, can we kind of cross the associations to be able to share some of this information back and forth for the benefit of our members? And the answer, of course, was, yeah, let's figure it out. Here's how we do it, right? And again, because of the power of those peer groups and people actually, I think, caring, it got done, right? And yeah, so really appreciate that answer, Tim. And how about you, Deborah? Do you have anything to, you know, to sort of add to that? What kind of things did you see associations help people with through the pandemic?
I think, Tim hit on every point, because really starting with you, Bob Goldberg, that's the first thing that came to mind when you were going to ask that question is, having Bob, I saw him with manufacturers presenting this information, Mpsa presenting this information, obviously the BTA presenting this information. We would not, we might have survived, but it would have been a lot more difficult to navigate the murky waters of the whole COVID experience without really having that presence and being able to talk with each other about, okay, did you do your PPP? What did you get? How did you do this? You're laying off people. There were so many things coming at us as dealers that really not knowing which way to go, and to have each other working together to make sure we did it the right way, it was invaluable. I mean, Tim hit on everything. It just was invaluable.
I agree.
I would like to add one little thing there, even though I don't feel like I don't want to talk too much, but it made you keep a cool head.
Yes.
That I can't explain that any better. By having everyone there, you kept a cool head through that, and you didn't have those knee-jerk reactions that maybe some did that didn't have other people to bounce things off of. And it made us dramatically stronger. Our people are so loyal to us, we can lay off a soul. And thank goodness we didn't, as it turned out. And it made us so, our employees are enamored with us. They love us. They're not looking for jobs, even though jobs are everywhere right now.
Yeah, it's a great point you bring there, is that I feel that myself through this whole ordeal was that because we worked with other people, it's less scary, it's less frightening, and you're less prone to make a big mistake based on emotions, right? Like when you have these peer groups to be able to speak with people, they can slow you down a bit and say, well, hold on. I know what you're saying, but we thought that too. And then here's what we discovered, right? Just absolutely, perfect. Thanks for that addition. Yeah. And I'm sorry, we're actually getting to the end of our time. So I'm going to have to jump into our last question, which is, if you had one message to send to those sitting on the fence about joining an organization like the BTA or the Mpsa, what would that be? And Joe, maybe I'll get you to start.
Well, I'll use no classic. Try it, you'll like it. Right? Because those of us that are heavily engaged in organizations, especially in the volunteering roles of organizing, we know how hard it is to get people to take that first step, right? Because at some point in our lives, we took the first step, right? You joined, in my case, you got tapped to be in the Key Club, right? Well, that was scary. I was in 10th grade. I'm like, I don't know what about all this, but I got in it, and then I got developed by some people saying, hey, you're willing to spend some time, and you get a mentor or somebody who's in leadership says, this guy's willing to learn and be part of this organization, this association, and we grow up those people. So I would say to anybody out there, hey, maybe it's not your thing, maybe you've not been involved in a lot, you're one of the percentage of population, you're in that 50% that kind of hangs out and follows and kind of, does their part, but not leading, not really going that next level. Just reach out and say, hey, I'd like to get involved. How can I get involved?
That would be my one piece of advice for, people out there as well, is to try it, and you will absolutely, love it, right? I'm with you, Joe. Try it, you'll like it. Deborah?
Well, I think that mine was just do it, just do it. And I'll tell you from a different perspective, I'm not an owner of the company. So what I would say, if there's owners out there that they don't feel like they have the time, or really they're at a point in their life, find somebody in your organization that's a champion that really wants to learn more about it and grow them up. Put them out there, get their name, call one of us on the group. Because again, I come at it from a different perspective. I'm not an owner of the company, but I'm very passionate about it. So find those people within your organization that are passionate about this industry, and it will really help them be better for your companies. So
I really love that. So even if you don't have time for it, I bet somebody on your team does.
that's right.
That's great advice. And Tim, you get the last word. So what's your one piece of advice for people maybe sitting on the fence?
Watch this video.
Yeah.
If this doesn't convince you, you're never going to be convinced. Number one, you think you don't have time. Most of the dealers, when they say, well, I don't get anything out of it, or I haven't been to an event, guys, you know what? You can't afford not to be. You really can't. You think you're doing okay, you're just not. And you need to be here. You need to be a part of an organization that's bigger than you, that'll make you a better person, a better company, a better giver to your own community. Whatever you want to be, you will be enhanced if you're a part of a group like this. And you have got to understand that. The sooner you do, the better off you're going to be. Make time. And as Debra said, if you haven't got the time, find someone in your organization you trust and believe in and put them into it. But you've got to do it.
I love it. You've got to do it. So I can't thank you all enough for doing it and really taking care of the industry, the organizations you work for, and more than that, the industries the organizations that we all interact with. So thank you very much for what you do.
Thank you, Will.
And to everyone out there that's tuned in today and watched us on TigerTube, thank you. And if you've been listening in on Tigerpaw Radio, thank you as well. There's lots of other great learning resources at tigerpaw.com/resources. Make sure you get out there, keep learning, and join the Mpsa and the BTA. Thank you.